Hey, good evening. It's Aaron with Bowtie Treasures. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Friday night here in Pensacola, Florida. It's still summertime, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight. I'm working on a jewelry box, a jewelry music box, and I'm just gonna make it up as we go. Always seems kind of like a fun thing to do, you know? So again, you guys say hi as you drop in. I always like to know who's watching. Anyway, it's pretty simple, but I think it's going to be fun just to do a little bit of painting on it. So I'm excited to work on that with you guys. And if you're watching by replay, don't hesitate to let me know that tonight, later on. So I've got 3 colors. I have Pure Ocean. I also have the Gulf, and then I also have Peacock. I don't really know what combination, what order, but I think right now kind of where I'm leaning is maybe more of a you know, like light to dark combination. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So we'll kind of work that way down, and then I'm going to be working with the butterfly silkscreen that has a few options to work with, but I don't know that I'm doing the butterflies. I like these little flourishes. I think they'll look really pretty running up the side of the jewelry box. Dixie Belle's got their new Thing-a-ma-jig tool for basically squeegeeing in chalk paint through their stencils, so we'll give that a try tonight if we get that far. I think we should be able to. I've got some gold gilding wax that we might try just to kind of spruce, give it a little bit of glam tonight, maybe on the hardware. We'll see how that goes. Most of my work tonight, I'm going to be just using my variety of craft brushes. I don't have a ton of them, but just whatever you have around that gives you a nice small working area. And I've got a bucket of water that I can use just to clean up my brushes. So if I'm correct, 57 years, is that right? 104 degrees, oh my goodness, Mary. So I've got this little turnstile that'll allow me to just kind of move this thing around. So right now I'm just gonna go with the idea that I'm gonna do, I guess you could call it ombre, but I'm gonna have more than one color. And I am not trying to be super refined, just get the colors on there. I'm not sure that we will, maybe we can call this a little boho, or I don't know, we're just kind of making it up. So we're just going to use a little bit of water just to kind of keep the paint a little thinner, because it's, you know, for me, sometimes my paint gets a little thick just because it's been exposed to the elements a little too much, so it'll keep it nice and thin. So if you're ever trying to keep your paint loose or at least thin, give it a little bit of a spritz of water, and then that'll allow you to spread it out if you need to. I may go back later off, you know, not on during the live, and I may go back and paint the side of the drawers. We'll see. It's a nice little cute music box. Just put the lid back on there. We're gonna work our way up to Pure Ocean. When I'm blending these colors, I really don't care too much if my brush gets mixed up, but I like these colors so far. I think it'll be nice. And I might just do a soft little, you know, casual blend, nothing crazy. The nice thing about this technique tonight is that I'm going to be using silkscreen stencils, so if you're ever trying to hide maybe a little bit of I'm going to say a poor blending job, but a rough blending job, you know, smoke and mirrors, right? A little stencil work here and there, I'll do that. But I really like this color so far. I'm working wet on wet. That'll keep things moving nice and smooth. But felt like my energy's back, and here we go. I haven't painted a jewelry box in a while, but on vacation a few weeks back, We got a couple at thrift stores, so same brush. Now if you feel like you're getting too light and you don't want any of the previous colors get in your brush, then you might want to wipe your brush off. But you can see I still have paint from the other colors. So let me go ahead and do that. Just to be careful, so just just wipe it off. Those other colors aren't gonna mess it up too much, at least it won't for me tonight. But look how quickly you can work. If you need to mist your brush so that you don't get this water on your other colors. There we go. All right, working like along. Okay, so you can see I'm working that down in there, just some crisscrossing pattern, soft fade, and I think that's all it needs. Looking to see if I missed any other spots. I love a little transition. So that was a really quick, that took us just what? Not long at all. I like these small projects. It's a great way to practice things like blending or stenciling, just really quick. While I'm working on this side, the other side will dry. So here's what again, this is kind of rough draft, but there's this part of the butterflies silkscreen stencil, and you can see I cut the part out. I often do that where I'll just cut out what I need. And I'll put my link to my Dixie Belle link in the comment or in the description after my live is done. So if you haven't used my link, you can have that here in a little bit, or go to my website bowtietreasures.com. So let's keep in the tropical color. And let's pull in sea glass, okay? So this is a different part of the stencil set. And just see here, make sure. So I've got two options left of the floral element. And I kind of like that. All right, we'll do that right there. So we're gonna peel this off as soon as it lets me. And then we'll go from there. Again, we're kind of making this up as we go, so it's all good. All right, so I think I actually like the template to go off the edge. There's just something about looking like it just kind of fell on there. I think that's a nice look. So we're gonna go back to the Thing-a-ma-jig, all right? I'm gonna wipe off the excess paint. You do need to clean the Thing-a-ma-jig. I believe it mentions, you know, warm water, soapy water, which makes perfect sense. I was looking for this is what you get, if you've never used it, this is what you get in the packet, which can work. It just isn't as flexible. So we're gonna try the Thing-a-ma-jig one more time. So let me make sure my stencil's nice and flat. And then we're going to go back into my container, pretty much just dipped it in there. And let's work our way from the left to the right, okay? So I'm just gonna scrape that in there, off the top. It really does a nice job of spreading the paint out. You don't want to force it underneath or into the stencil too much that it starts going under the stencil. And there's so much leftover stencil or paint that I can kind of lightly scrape it. You know how little paint I put on this thing? And it's still going. Just kind of work back and forth, get that paint, all that paint off of there. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on this, just nice, steady, working that edge. Let me just see if I missed anything else. All right, and then we will give it removal. So let's go in close. So this is the Thing-a-ma-jig. It did a fabulous, perfect job. All right. So crisp, clean. There is a slight raised texture, but the stencil has a grid to it, so it's going to do that. Okay, so you can see that. But that's easy. If you don't want that, that's a light, easy sand. But how pretty is that, right? So far I think that's coming out fantastic. I'll fix this side. You saw me paint that. That would be easy to fix. Okay. So let's just kind of put this into a slight wrap-up mode. Some other ways that I'm going to tie this all together. I think I'm going to use more of that sea glass, slightly loaded, and I'm just going to I just want to kind of hit some of these edges and bring some of that coastal, almost like wind-blown. Just kind of give it some weathering. And we'll go the other direction. Okay, just enough to highlight the edge. Just to add some depth. Any of this that's too much, you could lightly sand it back if you wanted to. I'm going to hit the hardware a little bit and get some paint in that middle. And we'll put a little bit on these corners down there. This technique just gives it a nice worn feel. Cozy, comfortable. It doesn't look shiny out of the box kind of feel. So we'll put some up there. Just drag it on the edge. I could do some light distressing, but I'm using color to do that. And that looks really nice. Do you remember what it looked like at the beginning? Just gray, which was Gray Boss, by the way, in case I didn't mention it. This is looking great. One of the nice things about the Gold Gilding Wax is that it's a complement color to green and cool colors. So it's going to give it almost like a sunshiny glow to it without being too overdone. I usually keep some brushes like this around where I can put gilding wax on it, and that's about all I use it for, is a gilding wax, and then all I do is just wipe it off. So I'm just going to put a little bit of gold gilding wax. Instead of doing the dry brushing, you could do gold, but this is just going to put a little bit, almost like it's just worn off. Just a little bit. So you can see the difference between just the dry brushing and just a little bit of gold. It just kind of gives a little bit of shimmer to it, catches the eye, and adds a little bit of pop to it. So I'm just kind of touching, really all I'm doing. You know, if it's a jewelry box, why not complement what's going inside of it? And I don't know if I've shown you, but the inside is kind of like that. I don't know why they really liked mustard felt back in the day. So I'm not really sure. I guess it's just a 70s thing, but this will help kind of tie it together to the felt. Okay. Now these stencils might be kind of cool, could have been kind of cool to do in gilding wax, and you can do that. It's just a little harder to put through a silk screen. So, as Kay said a while ago, boom. Not bad for a late night, Friday night, quick project, right? And again, we just made this up. We'll let the music play a little bit as we finish our live tonight.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye!